Um, I've had kind of a anxiety coming up to this year. I don't usually do any like festivities. I've moved across the country to the East Coast to like have a little more separation from my family and be able to have a little more, um, just a little less pressure. So I just haven't participated in doing any Christmas celebrations or any other things. Um, so as far as like getting into it again this year, I started dating somebody who's things are I've been dating for a little while now, and so I'm getting introduced to family, and family's introducing me to the holidays. So the anxiety has started coming back around again. They're not Mormon, um, but I'm just not engaged with it before from like the non-Mormon space.
Um, so what it like, tell me, if you could summarize, like, what's your biggest concern? How does that come up for you?
Um, well, okay, so I guess part of it is also, and I don't want to get into too many politics, but like part of it is that we're not going to be talking about politics in the family either this year, which feels like a lot more of the pressure is going to be put onto religion, that there will be a lot more like all of the conversation being like kind of like hyper focused on like this being about Christ and this being centered on the family and like just a lot of wounds that are I don't know. I have looked through those um, on devotional. What are those statements that you've just been putting out? Um, on devotional statements and the emotions that come up in me is really hard for it to be forgiveness. It's really hard for me to see people who are still participating um, in just generic Christian things, um, that it doesn't still hold all the same pressures of like happiness, prosperity, gospel crap. And um, I just don't know how to smooth it over. So I've really been leaning towards just not participating at all. Um, but because I've been invited for the first time this year, it feels like I don't want to be like snubbing their family that it's about politics or something like that. When a lot more of it is about just Christmas being.
I love it. Thank you for sharing all that. Hopefully it was picked up. We're having a little bit of trouble with the audio, but I think I got the gist of it. Todd, is there something you want to say? I have a lot to say on this.
Yeah, I have a lot to say too.
Yeah.
I think just first off, you're in new territory, and that's natural for anxiety to come up. You're approaching things new. It's a new season. Um, but I'm also noticing, that your anxiety is externally focused. It's based on fears of how people are going to behave or what situations you're going to encounter, rather than just kind of coming back to your center, going, okay, I'm feeling what I'm feeling, which is totally valid, and asking yourself, what do I need to do to process this without like trying to push your feelings away or make them wrong or bad just because they're uncomfortable, but really take the opportunity to sit with yourself and be your own best friend right now, because you can't rely on the external people. And ultimately that's what helps us become adult, where we truly function in the world, because we're centered in ourselves. um and that's just kind of my first thought, just to kind of help you, like, it's okay that you're feeling what you're feeling. It's really okay. Give yourself full permission. You're making a drastic change against the grain, and they have no clue. and it's difficult, you know.
Yeah, I do hear that advice a lot. So there's a thing that's coming up in me right now that's a little bit of resistance, and not because that's bad advice, but because I've never known how to apply that advice, and I keep getting that advice from people to not externalize this. Not that I don't want to take into account how other people will treat me, but I do think that that will have an effect on my well-being. And it's not that I don't think I can take care of myself. I know I'm in a community, and it feels hard to not be aware of the fact that my community rejecting me is hard. Like I want to prevent that.
Yeah, so I honor all those emotions. What you're tapping into right now are primal needs. These are our childhood's greatest fears of being betrayed by those we love, by feeling that sense of rejection, abandonment, humiliation, avoidance, all by the people that we were trained and conditioned from our very onset of life to trust and believe in. So everything that you are feeling is absolutely valid. And what the most helpful thing to do is, yes, process the emotions, but as you expand your consciousness beyond what you were marinated in your life, and you're expanding and seeing new views, you are restructuring a moral value, a moral platform for you that is entirely different from them. And the pain comes is when we expect them to be any different than who they are. And when we were in, if you remember, we didn't feel like we were being exclusive. We didn't feel like we were being mean or cruel. We were completely tone deaf to
Or
the
judgmental.
world. And critical, judgmental, fearful. Everything was a threat, and we needed to defend ourselves and defend our faith, defend our God, defend our religion. And this is a very underdeveloped human being. And the church leaves us underdeveloped. And we can't just like go in and I need you all to sit down and let me help you become more developed because it doesn't work that way. Honestly, I wish that it did, but there are some mindsets that we can shift into. And that is, the more we expand our consciousness, the more we are required to accept people exactly where they are. And to realize that, yes, if you expand your consciousness, you would be able to see that you're really rude and inconsiderate and mean and so arrogant. But we didn't have the capacity to see that. And wanting our family to have that capacity when they just don't, it creates that internal chaos. Like, why can't you just see it? And it seems so obvious to you at this point. But literally, nobody's doing it to intentionally hurt you. That is not even in the wheelhouse. They want you to accept them for who they are as badly as we want them to accept us for who we are. But we've been trained and conditioned to accept people according to their like beliefs or their similar beliefs. And we're like marinated in that. And then now, as we expand our consciousness, we believe that, or we see that there are so many beliefs and they're valid, and there are billions of simulations going on the planet. And if we're actually going to raise our consciousness, we have to honor that everybody's experience is valid. And that's actually kind of releases us from needing it to be any different than what it is. So until we,
So how do I meet that validness? Because it seems very simple. How do I meet that validness in myself when other people aren't meeting that for me? I'm in a group setting. I'm at the dinner table with everybody, and they're not meeting that for me in that moment. And I've got to sit there and I've got to, be the adult feelings meeting those needs for myself. The thing that becomes really hard is that I don't have a good mask, and I don't know how to get by. It's not that I don't want to be authentic, and it's not that I don't think they deserve to be authentic too, but how do I get through the period of time where they would like me to be smaller, where they'd like me to hold back?
So this is about you coming into this space of really, what is my authenticity? What is my authorship? If your authenticity is, I need to be raw and real and absolutely vulnerable with everybody, and they need them to accept me for who I am, otherwise I will be making myself small. That's gonna not, it just doesn't work. Coming into my authenticity now is, I meet people where they are, and because I don't need their validation anymore, I can accept them right where they are. And because I don't need to because I know who I am, and I accept what I believe, and I'm grounded and rooted in me. Needing their validation does, like, I'm not hungry for it anymore. And it really comes into that place of self-acceptance, because literally you're conditioned to need and become dependent on that external validation. And so this whole transition has to do with you coming from the center out. And the higher consciousness is, I now get to radiate who I am, but I don't need to be understood. And if I'm needing to be understood, that's when I go into the weird place. That's when I go into judgment. That's when I go into trying to get other people to agree with me. That's when I go into manipulative patterns, because I need them to see me. I need them to validate me. When it's coming from within, it's like, I don't need anybody's validation. I'm so cool with my messy self. I'm going to change my beliefs. Probably next year I'll be a whole different person, and I get to be in flux. And it's almost like when you go to visit family, you're entering into an older dimension, and you get to play by the rules in that dimension, knowing full well that there is a higher order and a more complex world that they cannot see, they cannot feel, and they cannot understand. And it's really like a process we're not taught. We're not taught that. We are taught to map onto each other and to crave that external validation. And so it's reteaching yourself.
It's actually necessary as a child to get that validation and to conform. Our survival depends on it. So that's how deep it goes in us, because if we throw a tantrum, if if we're out of control, we're going to be punished. So we learn to conform, and we learn to read the reactions of everyone else. But at some level that can, that's normal, but at some level it can be traumatic, depending on how small we need to make ourselves, how dysfunctional our external environment is. So there can be a lot of factors at play. And basically what I would recommend doing is pretend you're in a play.
Yeah.
You're watching yourself. And so just kind of give that little bit of separation between what you feel and what's happening. Like, just it's a movie. You'll get emotionally invested, but every once in a while step back and go, what's happening here? And just give yourself some space. And ironically, the more time you allow yourself to feel what you feel, the easier it gets to let others think and feel how they feel and act how they act. So it's kind of a twofold process. And it's okay to be rejected. It's okay to have that self-doubt. It's okay. You're going to survive. And I don't know where you lean politically, but for me to go spend Thanksgiving dinner with a bunch of Trump supporters would not be my idea of a good time. And I would have to bite my tongue, and I would have to, you choose my words carefully, and I would have to shut down a lot of an expression, and it would be a long ass day. But I could get through it.
Yeah, and I think it's what is the weird thing that happens for me is that I was taught to be kind. I was taught to be considerate. I was taught to be compassionate. I was taught to be Christ-like. And then when I hear my family talk and they cannot see how absolutely dissonant they are from what I now see as more inclusive, more kind, more considerate, more compassionate, that's where in my mind I get like, why can't you see what you sound like? Why can't you understand how that makes people feel? But what happens is I get curious now rather than trying to control it.
Yeah.
I
So,
can listen and honor wherever they are and go, isn't that interesting? I see why you think that way because I was raised that way. And celebrate inside that now I'm more expansive now. Not that I have all the answers, it's just I can see how limiting that is for them. And it's just their experience rather than being attached to them waking up and being attached to them, seeing how ridiculous they are, because that's when inside I feel the betrayal, the rejection, the avoidance. That's when I feel the abandonment. That's when all those childhood issues come up for me because like they're talking shit about me. They're making fun and humiliating me, but it's just beliefs. It's not you. It's beliefs that they're arguing, and it's doctrine that they're fighting with. Inside, in their heart, they love you. They want you in their life. They want you included. And they also want your acceptance and they want your approval and they want and your acceptance and approval a lot of times means you believe like they do. But that's an underdeveloped.
and where that gets hard is that's wired into our sense of safety.
It is.
And so that's what's getting triggered is I don't feel safe.
Yes.
I don't feel like I don't feel safe. So by you sitting with yourself and allowing yourself to feel and just giving that little bit of separation, like this is a movie, like you can't be hurt. Somebody's just going to say something ignorant that's supposed to hurt your feelings, and it may, but it doesn't have to. It's just telling that primitive part of your brain, you're safe.
I'm safe.
You're actually safe.
I'm safe. Yep. It's safe for me to be in this space and allow everybody else their own feelings, emotions, thoughts, and beliefs.
And then once you kind of feel that safety, then you can move into the curiosity that Wendy's mentioning, like, this is interesting. Look at these, look at their thought patterns and look at the programming. It's so obvious to me now. I used to believe like that. I used to think like that. I used to sound like that. I'm so glad I don't. And so you're able to see that kind of the treasure in the feedback. You're not looking to fit in anymore. You're just looking at it going, oh, that's just a reflection of where they are and a reflection of where I am. And you're navigating the same situations in a whole and different way just because now your perspective, your perception has shifted to where you're not focused on controlling the outcome or controlling your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely why I haven't participated in any like Christmas things, just because I've been in control of not having those childhood emotions come up.
Yeah, there's some things that you do until you get to this place because it really is an evolution. It's not like the once you understand it now, it's all going to be fine. It takes practice. It does. And so when you're in those family situations, sometimes I just go out and I'm going to go do the dishes. I'm going to go play with the kids. I'm just going to get up and remove myself because I feel my nervous system is out of whack. And so I'm going to go get grounded and I'm going to go take care of myself. which is a whole nother affront altogether. What, you're going to take care of yourself and your needs first, because that's foreign. But then I might leave early. It's all about you observing your inner world and honoring you, as far as your feelings and emotions go. You honoring you rather than expecting them to honor you and soothe you.
And not being worried that like maybe my behaviors, like if I need to step away, if those get judged, that's not on me.
Right.
Yeah.
If I need time, that's not on me.
Yeah. It's literally just thoughts that they're having. That's all the judgment is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
it really is offering that higher level of love. That's if we're really going to expand in consciousness, what we want to expand in is both love and our authenticity. And sometimes that's where it feels weird, is um, love being let others voluntarily evolve, or one way that I see love, let others voluntarily evolve. That means I'm becoming a more loving human being as I allow people to be right where they are and not needing it to be any different, and honoring where I am and not needing me to be any different.
And it's huge. It's huge
It's a
because
practice.
there's so much
It's a
pressure for us
practice.
to be better, be perfect, be this, be that. And we put that on ourselves, we put that on everyone else, and it's wasted energy. One, two, it's just the more we can accept and embrace where we are and deal with it, we're actually in reality. We're bringing love to the dark places, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's where love develops, and that's what heals. It really is about awareness and love when you boil it down to it. But on the nervous system level, it comes to feeling safe and knowing that you have the tools to navigate it. And you do. You've learned a lot. You have a lot you're not thinking about, but you can get through conversations. I'm sure of it.
Does that help?
Yeah.
I know it can be rough, and it's really just take it easy on yourself. If you've had enough, honor it and just say, you know
Yeah.
what, I've met my threshold, and now I need to go take care of myself.
Yeah. I'm not feeling well. I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to say, doesn't matter.
And that
Take care.
there's something magical that happens if we want to go onto the woo-woo scale, which if you spend much time with me, we're going there. But
Same.
you bring an energy, you expanding your consciousness and being in that state of allowance and love. You're walking into a room that has an expanded aura and an expanded energy field. Even if you say nothing but you hold that space for them, you are creating dissonance in their own energy field because you are acting contrary to what they think you're going to act like. And so it creates some conflict in their field. If you show up and you're like pouty or angry or mad or whatever, or you're pushing them aside, or you're arguing and debating and all of this, which is actually how I used to handle it. Like, my family's debaters, we're going to get in
Yep.
here and we're going to be heard and be right. But when you don't show up like that, you're creating distance in them. Like, they're curious now because you're not displaying the behavior they expected you to display. That's because you're not just awake, you're evolving.
Yeah. It's like a pattern interrupt to their
Yes.
programming. And then the other thing along with what Wendy's saying is you're going to find that dissonance that your field creates kind of pushes people out of your field and brings new people into your field. So be open to the idea that you're in a movie and the faces are going to change, and the people that embrace you are going to look different than the ones you wanted to embrace you and that and just explore that with curiosity.
Yeah, there's a big lie. This is the big lie. And that is because we are blood, or because my mom and dad, mom gave birth to me and I was raised in that family, that in order for me to be fully authentic, I have to give full disclosure and be accepted. That's a lie. And when we hold on to that idea, we get chaotic inside. We lose our grounding. We lose ourself, actually. And we go back into that childhood trying to get their approval, trying to get their, be seen by them, because it's like we believe that lie. If you are my blood, if you gave birth to me, if you raised me, and if you loved me, then I should be able to give you full disclosure in who I am, and you should accept me for who I am.
Yeah.
It messes with our head.
Yeah. There's a bunch of unwritten rules and dysfunction that we're breaking out of.
Yeah. It's just not true. It's not true. And when we try to make it true, that's when we start getting crazy. John, I know you have something to say on this, right? John has written it. What was the name of your book?
Navigating Black Ice. Navigating on Black Ice.
Black
My
Ice.
Mormon Life. Yeah. Yeah, and so I've had, pushback from my sister, from two children, about my views on my Mormon experience of life. And my sister, who's 4 years older than me, loves to just call me and just start talking nice and friendly, and all of a sudden evolve into this attack mode of shame and guilt and all these things. And so I listen to her and I say, well, that's just, that's your view of reality and your opinion, and I have my own. And I just leave it at that. And I have to have a self conversation going on all the time, and just remind myself that that's not reality. That's something she's saying for her reasons, and it's probably helping her feel more empowered in her beliefs that she's steeped in. And I just let her say, what she wants to say, and I try to give her that. But I don't just get walked on, because I always finish it by saying that's your view of reality. Mine is different. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that viewpoint, because that's part of our evolution, right?
You like my temple hat?
What's that?
You like my temple hat?
Oh my gosh, look at that.
It's all weird, but if I like that, it's like my temple hat.
Oh, that's too funny. That is funny. What I was going to say about our evolution is, actually we are the one that gets to live in those. We get to experience living in multiple dimensions all at once. And right when we leave, it's kind of difficult, because we're grieving a world that's still very much alive and at play. And we're grieving it, even though it's right there in front of us, because we know we just don't fit in it anymore. And that is a revelation that you are evolving. And the more you evolve, and the thing is, we don't evolve more until we can accept that. When we accept that, then all of a sudden we see even more views, and we see more views. And I explain it like the dragonfly, when it's in the water as a nymph, it has very simple vision. But when it comes out and it peels back, their eyeballs in proportion are similar to like a basketball on our head, with 30,000 lenses on each side, 30,000 lenses. And I can't even imagine what it would be like to have 30,000 lenses in operation. But that's what makes them pivot and dart, and they're fast, and they're eating mosquitoes, and their capture rate is very quick and rapid. And that's kind of like how we become as we evolve, is now we get to hold all these multiple perspectives and honor them all while accepting our own moral perspective, our own understanding, our own vision, and not seeing it as superior as others, just realizing that it's a different way of seeing, that I've woken up a little bit more. It doesn't make me better. It just means I've evolved, and I'm onboarding all these new senses that were always available to me, always available to your family, but they can't like access it. But it's operating all at once. But I stay grounded and rooted in mine. And when I get new information that makes sense to me, that challenges my belief now my beliefs get to be fluid and flow through me. I'm like, okay, I'm altering this belief because I got new information that was not even on board when you were LDS. Your beliefs were stuck in and staked in hard, right? And now our beliefs are just kind of fluid. We're like, well, this is what I believe now, but it's going to be different next year. And they just kind of flow as we evolve. And so when we get super attached and rooted in our beliefs, we haven't come to that point yet. And one of the greatest books that I've read about this is Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. And it is the 5 attachments, 5 levels of attachment or something. That helped me a lot.
Before Agreements is the first one. That was one of the first books I read getting out of the church.
Yeah, I love that. I love that Toltec wisdom. They just make it super simple. And how I love how we get to explore all these new things outside of scripture and prophets. And you just see how much wisdom is on the planet. And for me, I realize I don't know anything. I'm just like this little kid, but at least I'm curious now instead of believing that I know it all. Todd, your volume is off.
I wanted to reference another book, David R. Hawkins, Force versus
Power versus Force.
Power versus Force. One of the things in there is a consciousness scale, and the lower is denser and the higher is more fluid and quicker vibrating. So like at the bottom is shame, guilt, and fear. And notice when you're afraid of how people are going to act or react, and you need to control that to feel safe, how little you can really focus on because you're down in the fear. And when you just move up to neutrality, like just that simple act of viewing it like a movie, where it's okay that whatever happens, I'm safe. Now in neutrality, you get to see more. And then when you come up into love, which is really accepting that they are where they are and you are where you are. And it's this beautiful dance of perspectives that a whole nother field of vision opens. And so that's vibrational density, just to introduce a concept in very practical terms related to your situation.
Yeah. No, I like the advice of looking at it like a movie or like a play and being able to occasionally pull yourself out of it.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot easier to be like, well, the next scene is the one where I go to the bathroom and I go hide for a little while.
Yeah.
And you'll find me in the bathroom. I'm tapping on my thymus gland. I'm like, I am safe. I am safe. Everything's okay. I don't need their attention. I don't need their validation. Tears coming down, and I come out and I'm like, I'm regrounded and everything's good.
Yeah. I used to say, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's okay. It's okay. Like you literally have to remind yourself, you have to retrain. It is a process.
It is a training. It's not like once you wake up and you can see it all, it's not like all of a sudden you've onboard the skill set. No, once you see it all, then you realize I gotta get another skill set because I can't look at all this without
there's always more
feeling about it. It's so much easier being Mormon. It just really is.
It requires a lot less examination.
Yeah, it's just so simple, so much simpler, but we couldn't go back if we tried. Once you know what you know.
Yeah, it's not simple to go back now. Like it's definitely not simple after you know.
No, we just realize we're just little kids and we have a lot of developing to do. So Amy, did you have any questions that we could help you with, or Cynthia, either one? Or John, you want us to navigate this thing with you?
Hi.
Hello.
So this is a very new chapter of my life. I stopped attending July this year.
Wow.
So I'm still trying to figure out what I actually believe and what's okay and what's not okay. And um, I just don't know how to deconstruct at this point. Um, I cut my entire family out of my life last year. And then my sister came back just before Christmas last year. So it was almost an entire year that I hadn't had any contact with her. And now we're going over there today, and I'm a little nervous. Yeah, they're still nobody in my family knows that we are no longer attending. And we don't have anywhere to go for holidays. It's just us. My kids are on board. None of us go to church. None of us are worried about that, but we do pray. So, it's just a process that we're figuring out.
So what is like your fear of just us? Like, what does that mean for you? Like, what's underneath that?
A lack of connection,
Yeah.
and community.
Yeah, there's one of the beliefs that rise up with that is that what becoming aware that what was connecting us before was our beliefs and not really knowing each other. It wasn't through intimacy and who you are. It was connection and what you believe. And
Mhm.
so now you're renegotiating. What does it mean to connect? Um, and kind of what was going on in Jenna's experience, to connect means to agree. To connect means to see and to validate, and that feels connective. And now you have to learn how to connect in a whole different way that's maybe even more superficial. If that
Yeah,
makes sense. Now we just
yeah,
connect because we are blood. And now we just connect because, we feel required. But like none of these things even have to be unless we make it so, unless we put that meaning on it. And
mm,
so now that you're moving into the holidays and you realize, the worst thing that I could do for Thanksgiving is sit at a table and listen to my family talk about politics or talk about their devotion to the Lord in any of those things that doesn't feel good to me. And we have this voice in the back of our minds, but that's family. And that's what you do in order to make it a valid Thanksgiving. You need to sit at the table and everybody needs to get along. And it's all up in the air, and you get to renegotiate what Thanksgiving means to you. What do you really want to do? What would like light you up? Is it going outside, going for a walk? Is it playing a game with the kids and the people that you love? Is it, maybe you want to have hamburgers in the grill and not a turkey? It's like you're busting out of all the traditions, not just religious and family traditions, but even societal, cultural traditions. You're like, is it really okay not to have turkey on Thanksgiving?
yeah. We're
Oh
actually
no,
having chicken.
we're having a different bird. But now we're pushing the envelope, right?
Yes.
And one thing that I've realized is what like my Christmases have completely changed. I decorated a tree last year that it was sacred geometry. It had like nothing else
Love
on it
it.
except for like golden sacred geometry and ribbons, and I loved it because it resonated with who and represented who I am today.
Yeah.
And um with if it's just going to be your kids, it's like, how can we make it so fun that we're not missing sitting around the table talking about things we really don't want to talk about with people who really don't get us.
We've been doing this for quite some time. I don't think I've been to my family's for Thanksgiving for several years, actually. Um, I cut my dad out of my life 8 years ago. Um, but then everybody else fell behind last January. So it's oh, and my kid's dad stopped visits. So now it's just us, and we don't have to worry about exchanges, and we don't have to worry about like who are we going to invite or whose house are we going to go to. My sister always goes to her sister-in-law's house every Thanksgiving. So that's not even an option. It's literally just us.
Yeah.
So one thing that helps is if you make it a special day. Just do something different. Start an entirely different tradition. Like make pizza or make just start something random and weird. That says this is what Thanksgiving means to us now. But what you're really looking for, and it could be something more, but what most of us are looking for is connection and peace. Those two things, and you can have that with your immediate family. Also helps if you go outside of yourself and say, okay, let's go visit someone, or let's go visit Mother Earth. Let's go help someone else in need. Let's go. How could we celebrate Thanksgiving in a way that's super fun that we look forward to every year? And that's what generates the connection. Because what pattern that you're really wanting to break, and that could be wrong, but explore this for a minute, is disconnection in your family. Is the fact that I don't get along with my siblings, the fact that I don't get along with my parents, and really gives you an opportunity to go deep down inside and say, how can I break this pattern with my own children? How could I develop safety among siblings and safety with me and how I communicate with my kids so that I actually break this pattern? Otherwise, it's just going to repeat itself, whether you've left church or not, by the way. Those family patterns are coming to the surface a lot when we leave the church, but they don't get healed until we become very aware of them and say, this is why I don't talk to my parents, because they don't try to listen. They invalidate my feelings, and so that's your curriculum for becoming a better parent, so that you don't have the same cycle repeat in your family.
That's a really good thing, because I've been working on that for 10 years since I started a divorce. Yes, those are things that have come up for me in that amount of time. My family doesn't listen to me. They attacked me because I set a boundary. And that is what drew me to block all of them.
Yeah.
And I talked
That's
to my kids openly.
on the negative side, that's, the family, how they treat you and the fact you had to leave. On the positive side is this exploration you get to have with your kids, because like you said, they're all on board. They're all together with you. I get the sense they're eager for your leadership and to participate. And I think you could have a lot of fun with it, going, what should we do this year? Maybe your tradition is that you break tradition in a unique, fun way that you all agree on every year, or whatever it is. Like, you all can have some fun with it, and get ideas, and then make a collective decision. And you even in your little group, you're going to have the most cohesive, deepest connection of anyone else. So if you stop shooting yourself about how it should look and you explore what you got, I think you have a lot of opportunity to heal and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, my kids are definitely giving their input. They feel respected, they feel loved, and they definitely are heard.
Yeah.
So,
and since you're not getting validation outside your family, let me give it to you now. You're breaking cycles, you're charting new territory, and you deserve congratulations and recognition for your efforts.
Thank you.
And even if you did nothing else, even if you did nothing else, you're already improving the cycle. You're already making the change. Even if you did nothing else from today forward, it's the effort has, and what you've done is taken courage, and you're ready to break a pattern, and that takes a lot of determination. And so yay for you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
Now I
glad.
want to stop the triggers.
Yeah, those are and that's a lot of a deeper inner work, and navigating those inner child wounds. And we come here with a weird bag of genetics. We inherited the genetics, then we inherited the family patterns in the environment, then we inherited the religion, and then we inherited our own traumas. And then so there's a lot to unpack. A
There
lot
is.
to unpack.
Yeah,
And
there is. I mentioned that I cut my dad off 8 years ago, but he is a pedophile, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
about a year old when it all started happening. So yeah, I have a completely um, altered sense of reality,
so
and I recognize that.
have you done therapy to help you with all that? That's some intense trauma.
I have done EMDR, hy let's see, what is it called? Hypnotherapy and ART therapy, NLP, timeline therapy. I'm a Reiki master. So yes, I a lot of different things that I've been working
Yeah.
through.
So you are a chain breaker. You're an agent for change in your family line. That's amazing. Good for you for taking initiative and clearing out all that energy and all those genetics, and being able to leave your kids a different legacy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
And
thank you.
and I think at some level, all of us that step outside the paradigm we inherit are serving that role.
Yeah.
And part of what Wendy and I are wanting to build is community support, because we all kind of step out of our family into this empty space going, now what? Who's with me? You know, and realizing that, we are it took me a long time to realize that that's what was happening, because I was just stumbling through it moment by moment
Mm.
until I was able to step back and get some retrospective insight. But yeah, that we're trying to do just that, so that we don't all feel alone. So we have roadmaps and that kind of stuff to get us through. Because the irony is we are pioneers, right? Like, like we were born to be cycle breakers. We were sort of programmed to do it in a certain way. And yet when we do it, they're like,
Yeah. It's interesting because my family, my dad grew up in a less active home. My mom's mom was baptized after my mom was like 3 or 4. And, it's just an interesting dynamic. And I have aunts and uncles that were never members or just chose not to stay with the church. And I feel like every one of my siblings has stuck with it. But here I am like, nope, this isn't working for me. It's not going to work for me. And it became a religious trauma for me. And I said, enough's enough.
That's good. Yeah, you.
Thank you.
So good. Thanks for sharing what you're going through, because I know a lot of us are going through the same thing, and when we're willing to share it, then we can get it out in the open and talk about it. get,
Yes,
get it revealed. Until it's revealed, it can't be healed, right?
that's right.
So we're kind of at the top of the hour, but I would like to ask Sarah, is there anything that we can work with you on, that we can help support you? Oh, there she is.
You're on mute, Sarah.
I think you got it.
Do I got it? Okay, yeah.
There you
I'm
are.
good. I'm good. I am listening and learning today.
Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Where are you from?
I live in Layton, Utah, and I grew up in California.
Okay. And how long have you been out?
About 2 years.
Oh, still pretty
I know.
young.
I know. Yeah, I am. I'm still pretty young. I'm just like I think that I have nothing to say because I don't have that voice yet. So
It
too
takes a
long in
while
the
to find it.
yeah, too long in the church, too long not being okay. Um, speaking my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, got to be the good Mormon girl and accept everything that is told to you and uh,
Well, and
that kind of stuff. But
if I can speak to that a little bit, because it does feel, and this is what really, it's a weird thing that happens to us. It feels like if I can't disclose myself, that I'm playing small. And if I can't express myself, then there's something wrong with me.
yeah, yeah,
And it's just not, or it goes back into feeling like you had to play small in the
yeah,
church.
yeah,
At the same time, you're trying to be heard. But
yeah,
actually, what it is, it's learning to discriminate or to discern is a better word. To discern when it's safe to disclose myself and when it's better for me to edit. And the
yeah,
editing is actually a higher function. It's not me playing small, it's me being big and complex and being able to maintain multiple perspectives all at once.
hmm
And it's actually an upgrade, but it can feel like it's a downgrade playing small again because it's the difference is I'm not hiding how I feel anymore. I'm discerning who I can share it with.
yeah, 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 yeah. I think that has been my whole story is hiding who I am,
Yeah.
hiding who I am, hiding what I need, all that kind of stuff. And my mother-in-law was saying the other day, I've had enough. I've had enough the last couple of years. I've had enough stifling those
Well,
feelings of not not feeling right in the church, not feeling heard, not feeling not yeah, just not feeling like it's not working for me.
well, and so some of the trick of that is learn to surround yourself with people who get it and people who
Okay, yeah,
understand and that takes effort because in church
yeah,
finding people who get us when we were believers was no effort. We just go to church,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
85% of what you believe, I believe. And so it feels all natural and
Yeah,
connective. And now that you're popping out of that, now you have to make the effort to surround yourself with people who have similar beliefs and honor yourself in being with people who have diverse beliefs. No, you don't want to
yeah,
create like an echo chamber of people who only believe but like you. That's what you're trying to pop out of.
yeah. And in that echo chamber, you don't really grow
Yep. Yep.
and progress as a person. And my patriarchal blessing always talked about my progress, just like my progress in general. And like, oh, good 10, 15 years. And like, I don't feel like I'm progressing. I don't feel like I'm growing in this place. I spent way too long just being stagnant in the church that I don't think I actually believe in. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't fit.
Yeah. There,
So yeah, so I do feel free being out, except yeah, I am dealing with my parents, the Henry B. Eyring talk in the last general conference. Oh, they called me 19 minutes after that session was over. And it was, yeah, having my voice with my parents is a big problem I have too. And I went back and listened to that whole talk, and I was just like, it's lie after lie after lie.
Yeah, once you hear it and once you see it, you can't undo it. And it feels almost
Yeah,
like painful to the ears to even listen to it. And but because your parents are still in that dimension, if you will, they can't hear it.
yeah.
They,
They can't hear how it's wrong. They can't hear how they lied to them. They can't. Yeah, I was just like he was talking about. He was like, "Oh yeah, you've had loved ones that have been tempted away by Satan," and I'm like, "Mom, I haven't been tempted away by Satan." She's like, "Oh really?" I'm like, yes, really. It
I've
was
been let
fun,
out by
but
the
yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
let out by
Lord,
the
open
Lord.
the
Yes,
door.
exactly, exactly. The Lord opened the door, and I'm feeling more open, and like there is potential. There is more potential for my life. I do feel so much more like I'm able to grow as a
Yeah.
person. It's a very long process, but I'm getting there.
Well,
And my whole family's out now, and they're happier for it.
yeah. That people who are in don't understand that actual joy.
Yeah.
I think first of all, the church is not designed for our growth. It's designed
No.
for our compliance. And if
Uh-huh.
we comply and we fit within that paradigm, then we're easily controlled. We migrate
Yeah.
like birds being told exactly what to do when we become automatons to the narrative. And then when the prophet speaks, we listen and we go. And like we have
Yeah.
totally discounted our own inner compass. And then we surround ourselves, especially if you're in Utah, you
Yeah.
surround ourselves with people who believe the same thing. So it feels right. And for us to step out of that, it feels wrong.
It does feel wrong. Yeah.
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 But
My daughter just said she feels less guilt
yeah,
for liking the things that she likes. And
likes.
just like there's so many things that I recognized I felt guilt
Yeah.
over. And then guilt and shame
But you
is
don't need
toxic on
to.
your body. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So it's not designed for our growth because it doesn't make room for diversity. There's very little room for
No,
diversity in the church, and
there is.
diversity is
Yeah.
the foundation of growth.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we're not
Totally. There's no
exposed to that
diversity.
diversity, then we limit our own development.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah.
I'll go further. I'll say it's an energy harvesting predator.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I can
Yes.
do that.
I can feel my energy has shifted. I do feel more strength.
Yeah,
It is, yeah, yeah, in the chat, less guilt
yeah,
for Amy. Yeah, just like less guilt and shame and better energy and the good feelings you get from making your own choices and
yeah.
making your own rules and making your own system of belief is just fabulous. I like it.
Yeah, but it's something that we're so warned of while we're in the church.
Yeah,
Our heart is
definitely. Oh no,
deceitful and that we can't trust ourselves. And
I know. Yeah,
when the prophet speaks, the
that's the last. That's
The
whatever the
thinking
quote
has
was.
been done.
the thinking's been over. Yeah, the
The thing
thinking's
has been
over.
done. Yeah, you don't question anything the prophet says, and it's just like no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. The prophet has changed his mind too many times for me. Just like, is that of God? I don't know. That's the yeah. That was the other thing. It's just like they were so gung ho about that. What do they call it? The November 17th. The children can't get baptized. Children of gay parents can't get baptized until they're 18. I'm just like,
Mm.
oh well, God must have decided that so he could protect his church. But then 3.5 years later, he changed his mind. I'm like, why did God change his mind? I'm just like, there's so much inconsistency,
Yeah.
which is why I got confused so much and things didn't fit correctly and didn't,
Why does
yeah.
God look like 12 or 15 white men?
I know, yeah, that too. And just like, why is God white? I'm just like, yeah. I don't understand how God changes his mind so much. From prophet to prophet, he changes his mind too. It's so inconsistent and bad for my soul
Yeah. So
and
true.
confusing. So yeah.
Well, we're here to support you on your journey.
Yes, I do appreciate that. I'm glad I can join today. I couldn't join last week or the last Zoom, but yeah, it's good to have support. And so I'm so glad that these communities exist. So I know I'm not alone.
For sure.
And
Definitely not
it
alone.
does it's like I used to be sad when I'm like, oh, so and so left the church. Oh, that's so sad. But you have no idea what joy it brings them.
Right.
Just
We're
like
here on the other side celebrating.
we're on the I know it's a good thing. It's just like I celebrate now instead of be sad. It's kind of funny. But yeah, and a theory I came up with lately, like people leave the church and they lose their light. It's so sad, but I think that light is from I don't know, being in the mind control, just like, oh, you are going to be in the highest degree of heaven and you're making all the right choices on, oh, this is wonderful and marvelous and everything, except when they lose that light is just when they understand that it is not true and it's just a pile of junk, it's just false information that they were fed and then they just become normal. That is my description of what it is when you lose your light. So it's nothing sad. It's really a good thing.
And
People are finding their
you
power.
discover it's a mask for a lot of darkness. And then, when you
Yeah.
leave, you have to confront that and you have to do it on your own. You give up your tribe. So they can point their finger at you because it may look like a step backward or a stumble, but it's a
Yeah.
huge leap forward.
It's a huge leap forward into being the person that you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they're not losing the light of Christ or anything. They're
And notice they just have
claiming their own.
explanations for everything to make themselves right. And you
Doesn't
wrong.
make themselves feel
It's
better.
like it's all they
Yeah.
have.
There's always something they need to
There's always
feel
something.
better. But yeah, it's like those people losing their light are it's not the light of Christ they need. It's their own personal internal light to
Which is
give
the
them.
true light of Christ.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that because there actually I do see a look in people who are programmed, and it is almost a look of innocence.
Yeah.
And the innocence, we're trained to see that as a virtue, but it leaves us very vulnerable and controllable. And
Yeah.
when I see people who leave, I see something different, but it's not darkness. It's
Mm-hmm.
depth. It's depth.
Yeah. I
Now
like
I see
that.
complexity. Now I
Mm-hmm.
see somebody who's onboarded critical thinking that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
before was not there. And so, yeah, if you want to have the innocence of a child because you don't know things,
Yeah.
that's not a virtue.
That
That's
doesn't
not
sound
the
good.
light of Christ.
Yeah.
It's that depth and being able to encompass all the complexity of life,
But
and
yeah.
still be able to nurture love and acceptance from within. That is far more difficult, far more enriching, and far more empowering than
Mm-hmm.
staying in this innocent bubble thinking that you've got all the answers.
Got all the answers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Cynthia says naive.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
naive because they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, I used to call it ignorance. Um, naivety keeps us under control. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I used to call it ignorance, but I thought, that's kind of an arrogant position to take. Um,
Yeah.
it's just naivety is pretty neutral.
Naivety.
I just don't know what I know. It's when,
Yeah.
but here's the shift. Once you wake up out of the church paradigm, you realize I don't know anything. I,
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
don't know anything. And just onboarding the idea that you don't know anything puts you in a
Yeah.
far better place to be of curiosity and wonder. And now you're in a total state of exploration. And,
Yeah.
but you know that you're naive.
Yeah.
In church, you don't know how naive you are.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah.
Ironically, Jesus said you had to leave your father and mother to follow him. And then he also said you have to be as a little child. And notice that you have to
Yeah.
leave their way of thinking and you have to be open and curious like a child, right? So,
Yeah.
in a way, Jesus is telling you that's what it should look like, but they don't even get that.
Well,
Yeah. That doesn't make sense either. Yeah.
a lot of times I was taught that the what Jesus means by you must become as a little child is you must be obedient and not ask questions.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
I'm just like, yeah.
Trust
Except you
your
can't
father.
learn without asking questions. Yeah. It's like you only have to ask the right questions.
Yeah. Yes.
And yeah,
Oh, good.
I think I asked too many questions.
Never.
I know, yeah. And
The truth demands to be challenged.
the truth demands to be challenged. Yeah. I just,
You have to ask
oh, I just, there was a, it was the thing that made me take all of my completely disconnect with the church. There was a young women's, the youth were doing a fundraiser for girls camp, boys camp. Like, this is $1 billion church.
why are we
Why
raising
are they
money?
doing a fundraiser? And my she was 16 at the time. She went on the Facebook ward Facebook page, and she said, "This is $1 billion church. Why are they doing a fundraiser for girls camp and boys camp?" She posted it on the ward Facebook page. Guess what they did?
Shut her
They
down.
they deleted the post.
Of course.
You do not ask questions in this church.
Especially
I was,
reasonable questions with
I know,
obvious
reasonable
answers.
questions. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I screenshotted it. I will keep it in my phone forever. I was so proud. It was that. It was that we needed help with food at the time, and to pay medical bills and stuff. I asked for help. He's like, "You must come in and do a oh geez, I can't remember what it meant. What was it called? Self-reliance assessment, something close like to that." I looked at it and it was so awful. Do you just give out all your personal information? Oh, what can you do without? What can you change? Do you need to go to school? Do you need more employment? I'm like, no, I don't need, my husband doesn't need more employment. I don't need more employment because I'm supposed to focus on my kids, right? But I was just like so opposed to it. I'm like, okay, you're doing a fundraiser for the youth and I can't get help with food to pay medical bills. And oh, it just made me so angry. That's when I left all the group chats for young women's. That's when I let up. I had the great calling of ward online specialist. I don't even know what my calling was. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. My husband left his calling. That was a little bit ago. So I'm like, no more connections with the church. But yeah, that post she made on Facebook, her question about the $1 billion church and why are they doing a fundraiser? I'll keep it forever.
Well, kudos to you for raising a daughter who's going to feel safe to ask questions and has the courage to do it.
Yeah.
Yay. You're changing, leaving a different legacy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely will.
That's awesome. Well,
It's
thank
been
you
a good
all
thing.
for joining on. And actually, before I get off, Cynthia, I didn't give you a chance to talk. Did you have something to share? Oh, okay. Well, I want to talk to you afterwards because I haven't talked to you in a while. So thank you all for joining us and for sharing today. I really appreciate it. The more we share, the more we're able to help each other grow. So I wish you well and happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and I hope that it's all great with your family. See ya.
Bye.